Hi, welcome to the Lex Code channel where we learn to code together. My name is Lex, and today I'm going to show you how to create a simple ATM application in C#, which is good for practicing basic things like variables, working with loops, as well as some basic object-oriented programming. So without further ado, let's dive right into it. We're going to open Visual Studio, and we're going to create a new project. It's going to be a console app. We're going to call it ATM, next, and click create. Let's give some time Visual Studio to load, and I think we're in. Yes, here we go. We have our program here, but before we start writing out our main program, let's create a couple of classes which are going to represent our main entities, the client and the ATM. So let's add a class here. We're going to call it client. We're going to simplify it to be a public class client. And we're going to create another class, ATM, which is going to be our ATM. That's ATM. Okay, so now we're ready to start coding. Let's start with our client. And what entities our client is going to have. So we're going to give our client a first name, get set. And by the way, if this looks unfamiliar to you, this is something called properties. It's a feature of C# that lets us simplify our code. So basically, this is the same as writing private string first name and then public string get first name, where we return the first name, and then also public void set first name string first name, and then this first name equals first name. Basically, this replaces all these lines of code. It creates this variable in the background and returns it with get. So when we just call this function and sets it with set. So this is a syntactic sugar that C# provides for us. Okay, let's move on. What else our client is going to have? The Visual Studio already knows, yes, we're going to have a last name, so let's just do it this way. What else? Our client is going to have an account number, public int account number. It's going to be get set as well. We're going to have a pin, this one number. We're going to have a pin, so also get set, and we're going to have a balance, which is going to be a double, public double balance. Oops, something went wrong here. Public double balance. Let's get it back, and we have set. For some reason it just rides away from me. Okay, so our client is basically ready. So our client is going to have first name, last name, account number, PIN, and balance. We already have getters and setters, and that's basically it for the client. Let's move on to the ATM. So what properties our ATM is going to have? So first of all, one ATM can only work with one client at a time, right? So the ATM is going to have a client as a property. And we're going to say client. What else? Constructor here, where we basically initialize our ATM. So we're telling it, so this client is currently working with you. Please process this particular client. And our ATM is going to have methods. So which are the basic methods of the ATM? We're going to start with show balance. So we're going to say public void show balance. and this is going to be a console write line, client balance. So let's even rename it to be a print balance, so it's more telling us what it's doing. For other functions, we're going to have deposit, so public void deposit, and in this case we're going to accept deposit, so it will be double deposit, and we're going to say this client balance is going to add a deposit. We're also going to have withdraw, and that will be double withdrawal. And in this case, this client balance is going to subtract the withdrawal. And we're going to also have a function for withdrawal, print balance, deposit. Do we need anything else? Let's add another function for greeting our client. So let's just say console write line, and we're gonna have a string here. Hello, and we're going to have client first name, client last name. What would you like to do? And after that, we're going to print our options for the ATM, but that we're going to do in our main program. So our ATM is done. Let's move on to our main program. We're going to say public class program. It's going to have a main method, so it's going to be public static void main. We're going to have string args here, and this is the beginning of our program. Let's start by saying welcome. Please enter your account number. So for the logic here, what we want to do is we're going to check for account number, check for PIN. So we first check if the account number is existing. If it exists, then we're going to check for the PIN. If the PIN is correct, then we greet the client and present them with options. And that's when the client starts working with the ATM itself. So to check for the account number, let's actually create a list. There's going to be a list of clients. So this is going to imitate our database, so to say. So basically, we already have a list of clients, and when the user is entering their account number, we're checking if that account number exists in our database. So let's say clients, new list of clients, and let's add some here. So let's say clients add new client. Let's actually check. Right, we need to create a constructor here. Right, we're going to have public client. So we can initialize one, string last name. Basically, we're going to add everything here. It's going to be int account number. It's going to be int PIN and double. So in this case, yes, first name, last name. The ID is already suggesting what to do. It's going to be equal to, here we should have done this. And I think here we can also do PIN and balance. So it's going to be account number, PIN is going to be equal to PIN, and balance to balance. Okay, so now we have the constructor. Now we can go and create our clients. So what we're going to have, first name, last name, account number, PIN, and balance. Okay, let's start. Rachel Green, her account number is going to be 8765943884. Say her PIN is going to be 134, and the balance is going to be 100. Let's create several more. It's going to be Russ Geller. His account number is going to be slightly different. And for the sake of discussion, let's put this PIN, this balance. It doesn't really matter because we're only going to check for one account number. So let's just keep it that way. Okay, now we have our list of clients and we have our welcoming message where we request the client to enter their account number. In order to check if our client's account number is correct, what we're going to do is we're going to initialize a client here. We're going to initialize an account number. And then we're going to run a loop to keep checking. So basically, if the number is entered incorrectly, instead of ending the program, we need to keep prompting the client for the correct account number. That's why we're going to run a loop here. Now we're going to say while true is going to be account number int.parse. So we're going to read the user input here, and we're going to translate it into integer because our account number is an integer. And then we're going to check if the client has been found. So we're going to say client equals, in the list of clients, find first matching value, or set it back to default, which is going to be null. And we're going to say, and the IDE is already suggesting, client, we're going to check if the client's account number corresponds to the account number that was entered here. Fix the error. So here we're checking if our client exists. And we're going to say if client is not equal to null, then we're going to break. So basically, if our client has been found, then we exit out of the loop, and then we can continue our program. Otherwise, we're going to say console write line, incorrect account number, please try again. And we're going to keep prompting our user. Let's see how it works, actually. Well, let's run our program. And the build is here. Let's just see that it is showing. There we go. Okay, so it says, welcome, please enter your account number. And let's enter some random number. And I think something went wrong there. Yes, something went wrong. Exceptional headline. Value is either too large or too small for an int32. Oh, okay. We entered a too big of a number. So let's try again with something simpler. Let's just enter it like this. This will be a little bit less. Incorrect account number, please try again. So our program supposedly works. Let's try with the correct account number, the one that exists in the system. And the program closes because we didn't write any further logic, but it works, which means that we can continue. Okay, good. Now, after our client entered the correct account number, we're going to prompt them for PIN. And it's going to be pretty much the same logic. So let's say console write line, please enter your PIN. Once again, we're going to initialize a variable for a pin, and we already have our client. So here we're just going to run a very similar loop. So pin, oops, something went wrong here. Pin int parse. We're going to read user input, and we're going to say if our client, since we already defined our client, we don't need to write first or default again. So if our client pin is equal to the entered pin, then we simply break. Otherwise, we will say incorrect pin, please try again. And we're going to keep prompting for the pin. Now, let's run the program, see if it works correctly. So the build is preparing. There will last be errors. Would you like to continue run the last successful? What happened? Okay. Let's else. Okay. What's wrong? Console right line. If else possible no. Wait a second. Why is this incorrect? We have if. Semicolon. Right. Okay, so it prompts us for an account number. We already know that this part works, so let's just move on. Please enter your PIN. Let's try 8753. That's an incorrect PIN. Let's try again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And once again, the program ends because everything worked correctly. Now, we can continue, and after that, after the client has entered the correct PIN, what we want to do is we want to greet them and present them with options. In order to do that, let's initialize our ATM, and let's say ATM greet. And now we need to present our client with options. ATM is not null here. Use unassigned local variable. We need to initialize, and we pass our client. So the ATM works with our client. So now ATM greets our client, and we need to print the options. We're going to do that here in the main program for convenience of the client providing their input. So let's add a new function below our main function, and we're going to call it public void print ATM options. Now it's going to do very simple things. It's going to say what, or do we already have what would you like to do? Yes, we already do. So then we're going to provide the options. First is going to be deposit. Second is going to be withdraw. Third option is going to be check balance. And we're going to also give our client an opportunity to exit the program here. So after we greet the client, we're going to print the ATM options, and we're going to do it in a loop, because once again, if we just print ATM options, and by the way, it has to be static here so we can use it. If we just print it once, then the client will only be able to use it once. But we want the client to be able to use the ATM again and again until they actually decide to exit. So we're going to run another loop here. While true, we're going to say print ATM options. Then we're going to read client input, client choice, so to say. So here we're going to also initialize an option, set it to 0 since we don't have that option. And now we're going to read the input, so we're going to say option equals int.parse. So it's quite the same logic as you can see. 50 as before. We're going to read line here, and then we're going to write some if statements. So if option equals to 0 to 1, which is going to be our deposit, we're going to ask for the deposit. So let's just print an empty line here, and then let's say, how much would you like to deposit? Then we're going to have that deposit read from the console. So it's going to be double deposit equals double parse console read line. And then we're going to call our ATM. We're going to say deposit, and we're going to pass deposit as the function. And then some ending messages. Thank you. Your money has been deposited to your account. And then let's just say, for the sake of argument, your new balance is, and here we need to add the symbol so we can do our client balance. Okay, so that concludes our deposit logic. Let's just check if it works, as well as the presenting options. So let's enter our account number, let's enter our PIN, and it says, hello, Rachel Green, what would you like to do? And now we can choose from options. Let's say we want to deposit, and would like to deposit 150. So now it says, thank you, your money has been deposited to your account, and your new balance is 250. And as we remember, our initial balance was 100, which means the deposit works. Okay, let's continue writing out our logic then. So let's continue writing out our logic. We're going to say else if option equals to. Let's just print an empty line. And now we're going to withdraw. Now, before we do the withdrawal, we actually have to check if we can withdraw, right? So we're going to once again say, how much would you like to withdraw? Then we're going to read user's input. So we're going to say double parse, console read line. Now, before we deposit, we have to check if we can actually afford that deposit. So we're going to say if client.balance is less than a deposit, or sorry, our withdrawal, or if client.balance minus our withdrawal is less than 0, then we're going to say insufficient balance, please try again. And we're going to click. Then else we're going to actually withdraw. So let's say the ATM withdraw. We're going to use our withdrawal here, and we're going to say thank you, money has been withdrawn from your account. And we're going to say your new balance is client.balance. Now, if you have a question about this, this is the type of string, like when we put this symbol before starting a string, this actually allows us to put variables into the string. So that's why we're doing it here, in case you were wondering. Okay, so this logic is complete, and actually I would like to check it because I have weird feeling about this break here. Let me just quickly check. Let's enter our account number, 234. Let's say I want to withdraw 150. Sufficient balance, please try again. And yes, the program closes, as you can see, so we actually don't need that break here. We just need to continue. Let's see if that works. So once again, our account number 1234. To withdraw 150. Insufficient balance. Please try again, and we go back to our options. So that's good. That's good. Okay, so let's try to withdraw actually something that we can withdraw. 50. Thank you. Your new balance is 50. Okay, so that works. That works. Let's continue. We just have a little bit more left. I'm going to say else if option equals 3. And we're simply just going to put an empty line here, and then we're going to call our ATM, and we're going to say ATM print balance. And for the fourth option, we're simply going to break the program, and just in case user inputted something else, we're going to set option back to 0. Okay, let's check if it works. Now we're entering our account number, our PIN. Let's check our balance. 100. Okay, that's a little bit empty. All right, we just put client.balance. Fix that. Let's make it a little bit more user friendly. We're going to say client balance here, and we're going to say your current balance is, and then we say client balance. Okay, that's a little bit better, right? Let's try that. We'll enter our account number in. We're going to check the balance. Your current balance is 100. Okay, good. Let's check if the exit works. And it does. So that's pretty much it for the ATM app. If you would like, you can add more functionality there, obviously, but that's the basic program, and it's done. Let me know in the commentary if you have any questions. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.